Hello and welcome to Scoop News Group's series on the new business of government. I'm Jake Williams. We're here with Bob Samson. He's the Chief Information Officer for the state of New York. Bob, how you doing?
Jake, it's good to be here with you.
Good to be here with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So Bob, agencies have more data than ever before. How easy or hard is it for decision makers to get to and to make sense of that data?
You have hit probably the hottest topic I think there is today, and that's data exists everywhere. There is literally thousands and thousands of times more data that people actually are using to make effective decisions. So the trick is, how do I get to the data? Via consolidated data strategy with standards. Then the second thing is, how do I extract intelligence from it? And then the third thing is, how do I visualize it so I can make better decisions? That's really the trick. So data exists everywhere, thousands and thousands of times more than is used today. Having standards and a strategy around how you manage that data from an enterprise point of view is critical. The third element is extracting intelligence in what used to be called data warehouses. Today, there's more dynamic data warehouses and your ability to go do that. And then the last thing is visualizing it so you can make better decisions.
Sure.
You know, words are great. Pictures paint 1,000 words, particularly if you're an executive in an agency and you don't have a lot of time on your hands to look at spreadsheets and reams and reams of data. You want to look at a visualization of what can help you make a better decision. So that's really the new world we find ourselves in. It's a great question, though.
Yeah, well, thank you. So we've found the data, we've discovered the data, we visualized the data.
Right.
Now, how are we working to put that data in the hands of more decision makers to make those day-to-day decisions, not just in the hands of analysts or senior management?
Well, that's the trick. A lot of people talk about executive dashboards. Once you begin applying this technique, first off, of organizing your data differently, extracting intelligence from it, visualizing it, then you can move these tools down deeper into the organization from the top to the bottom. So, if the analysts at the bottom are seeing the executives at the top using these tools, then you'll have a quicker adoption, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be forcing different questions that are going to be asked downward into the organization. You have executive tools at the top. I can ask different questions. We begin making different decisions. Quite frankly, from those decisions, you can build an agenda of innovation across an agency for the services that you deliver. And it permeates up and down the organization. So it's not just, in the traditional sense, analysts using this data and extracting it. It's having the top use it, make decisions, and then ask questions that create change at the bottom, not hierarchically, but more operationally where the action really occurs.
That's fascinating. And so, you know, in New York, you all have been working on a consolidation effort for quite a long time, and it's making some huge progress. Tell me about how those efforts are going to continue and really transform the way that your government works.
So we started this path really in 2011, as I've mentioned. I think you and I talked about this in the past with a thing the governor put together, Governor Andrew Cuomo put together, called the SAGE Commission, which looked at how the state was using IT and spending its money on IT. And to his credit, he recognized that IT first is horizontal across all agencies, has the power to be transformational, and the third thing is it has to be secure. So with that as sort of a mantra, we consolidated all the budgets out of the agencies, consolidated all the resources out of the agencies, all the standards out of the agency, and put it in one place. Now, we consolidated 53 data centers to 2, 27 email systems to 1. We still have 5,400 applications that we manage. We have over 15,000 servers in our data center. We've got about 1,400 miles of fiber and 25 petabytes of data. All of that infrastructure is terrific. Now, it's consolidated, it's secure. We're providing these services horizontally across the agencies, but here's the real important point. All of that technology is wonderful, but the real vision is how you apply it to the challenges that agencies have in innovative ways. We call that innovation that matters for all New Yorkers. So take the technology, apply it to an agency, help them visualize their data differently to make different decisions. That's an innovation. And along the way, this transformation will occur in an accelerating pace because one agency begins to see the art of the possible that's happening in another and apply it to theirs. And that's happening today. Right now, we have an enormous pipeline of opportunities, of projects from our agencies because increasingly they're seeing the capabilities that we have that are much better than they were before in the consolidated world that we find ourselves in, and they're anxious to apply this technology to what they do. So it's exciting.
That is
So the future's exciting. We have more work to do. We're moving out of infrastructure, pure infrastructure, into this whole world of data, intelligence, innovation that matters. Kind of an older term is the Internet of Things, which I think is a little bit of a dog-eared term. We've moved beyond that now, as we're finding ourselves in a world where technology is becoming more ubiquitous than we ever thought it would be.
So last question for you. I saw you about a month ago in New York City. We had a great steak.
It was a terrific, it was a great steak.
It was a great steak, and we talked a lot about collaboration. How are you and your agency trying to collaborate with entities outside of that agency when it comes to data and other IT priorities?
So the first thing is we work very closely with the Center for Technology and Government in New York State. We're blessed to have an academic entity like that. It's part of the Rockefeller College, part of the State University of New York. Teresa Pardo, who runs that organization, is a great collaborative influence for us. So we reach out to her and her team, and we work across universities in the state, both in the state and outside the state, to extract as much intelligence from the academic world as we possibly can. Then there's another piece of this, which is reaching out to inside New York State to our own CIOs that work in local governments. I happen to think that we have a great responsibility to be great colleagues for local governments who need our help and actually want our help, and it's our responsibility to go do that for them. So we reach out to them. We have actually a meeting coming up, I think in the latter part of October, with all the CIOs from the cities around New York State to have an exchange of ideas. It's not that we know everything, because we don't, quite frankly. We want the best ideas, and we want the best thinking. The other is we reach out to our vendor community, our partners that have great insight. Many of them have really deep and rich skills in the technology industry. And every time I have an opportunity to meet with them, which is fairly frequently, I tell them, look, bring us your best ideas. Tell us how we can apply technology to help go change the world with the work that we have to do. And I think it motivates them as well. So other CIOs, academic institutions, and our vendor partners and community we work with closely are really keys to that. And then probably the last one, and it might be the most obvious, is our own people. I happen to believe, I've been in the technology industry for over 40 years. The trick is not the technology. It's never been about the technology. It's about the people who use it and shape it and apply it. And big, gigantic, bold ideas matter. I'll give you one last little snippet for you.
Please.
The Erie Canal in New York State is celebrating its 200th anniversary, 200 years. This is really a fascinating story. But the Erie Canal was not the idea of a politician or an engineer or an academic or anybody necessarily important. The Erie Canal was born out of a farmer in Geneva, New York, named Jesse Hawley, who was sitting in debtor's prison because he could not get his crops to market. In debtor's prison, he sketched out the path for the Erie Canal to go from Lake Erie to the Hudson River. He brought that to Albany and he sold it as an idea, not really sell it, but he pitched it as an idea to then Governor Clinton in New York State. It became known as Clinton's Ditch. They dug the canal 40 feet wide, 4 feet deep, and the rest is history. It changed the whole economic trajectory of New York State at the time, and it came from a farmer because he had a big, gigantic, bold idea. So, in organizations that we find ourselves in, whether it's our vendor partner community, academics, whether it's other states, whether it's other CIOs that are in cities, big, bold ideas that come from them really, really do matter. So that's the secret sauce. Bold ideas matter. Good old Jesse Hawley had a big, bold idea, and look how it changed the world. And that still happens today.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about you and your team building the next Erie Canal.
We're going to go do that.
Bob, thanks for being with us.
Thanks. Good to see you. Thank you very much.
For more about what Bob and the team are working on in the state of New York, check out statescoop.com. Again, I'm Jake Williams, Statescoop's Associate Publisher and Director of Strategic Initiatives, here for Scoop News Group's series on the new business of government. Thanks for watching.